All right. What's up, everybody? Kyle here. He's Chris. 49ers lose to the Bucs 30-19, but man, we talked going into the week how this didn't feel like a game where if the 49ers lost, we would feel like we learned a lot about them, right? Because they're so banged up and they've been surviving and advancing and just trying to stay afloat until they get guys healthy. And we weren't going to learn a lot about either team, et cetera, et cetera. And then the Fred Warner injury happens. And it's really tough to feel like that. That feels like a season ender. I don't know how they overcome that one.
I still think the NFC is wide open enough and they are good enough to potentially make a playoff run.
Sure.
I think it becomes exponentially more difficult to make any sort of like meaningful playoff run. Getting deep into the playoffs and potentially reaching the Super Bowl. Even without Nick Bosa, I still thought if they got everybody back on offense, including Brock Purdy, that eventually they could play themselves into that level that we've seen them play before going into the playoffs where, Kyle Shanahan, every single time the 49ers have gone to the playoffs under Kyle Shanahan, they've made at least the NFC Championship game. So I thought that was within the realm of possibility. Now I think they could get to the playoffs, but man, without Fred Warner, that defense just takes a massive, massive, massive hit. And for those who listen to this podcast regularly, I think one thing that's really stood out to me about the 49ers defense for most of this season, like even week one, maybe a little bit less so in week two, but like for most of the season, it was, man, this defense is just assignment sound. And they don't have a lot of coverage bust. And they might not be super talented, but they might be, better than the sum of their parts because of just how schematically sound they are. And I was giving a lot of credit to Robert Saleh, and I think that's certainly part of it. But I think Fred Warner's role in that, I think I was overlooking a little bit. And that Fred Warner, like you watch the Niners play, before every snap, he's communicating to every one of his teammates. He's like Fred Warner. I think one of the things that he got from Richard Sherman being Richard Sherman's teammate was he could look at a formation and he can look at the splits of the receivers and he can look at down and distance. And he was as good as any linebacker in football at getting his teammates lined up in the right spot and making sure the coverages were correct. And I think that was very evident that as soon as Fred Warner went out, the 49ers just didn't have all of a sudden like the brain of their defense in the middle of it. And it was a busted coverage after the motion right before halftime that led to the touchdown. It was a busted coverage on the long play on the long touchdown in the second half. It was, Fred Warner, who knows if Baker Mayfield can make that play on 3rd and 14 before that touchdown. It becomes so much more difficult for the 49ers defense to be as good as it was even earlier on in the season without Fred Warner. Like he flies around and is, after the snap, one of the best linebackers in the league. But I think before the snap, very clearly the best linebacker in the league. And I think that's what the 49ers are really going to miss. Because like Tatum Bethune, I think can make some plays.
Yeah,
right?
He's fine.
He can tackle. He can fill running lanes, but you're just not gonna get like the brain processing of hey, they're in this formation. It's 2nd and 4. This is the play they're gonna run. I watched it on film. I have a photographic memory. Like that's all the stuff that they're gonna miss with Fred Warner. And with all the coverage busts they had in this game, I think you could draw a direct line from Fred Warner's absence to, wow, all of a sudden the 49ers are not as schematically sound as they've been before.
So on the drive that Warner got hurt late in the first quarter, the Niners rally to get a stop. They force a punt. After that, Tampa Bay on their next 5 real drives, 8 plays, 68 yards, a touchdown, 5 for 72 and a touchdown, 8 for 76 and a touchdown, 8 for 55 and a missed field goal, 8 for 38 and a field goal, and the 5 drives without Fred Warner on the field. 5 real drives. This is not counting the kick return at the end of the first half and then the kneel down at the end of the second 37 plays, 309 yards, 24 points, excuse me. That's 8.4 yards per play. I think you're spot on. That has something to do with Fred Warner physically being on the field and just what he's capable of doing as a run stopper in coverage, etc. But he's not 8.4 yards per play all over the place. I think you're exactly right in terms of, how anecdotally, just eye test, how many completions did the Bucs have where there's just wide open player, no one near him, whether it was the long touchdown, whether it was on a 2nd and long or a 1st and 10, it was really clear that there's something, what's the intangible that they miss with Warner on the field. And I think the numbers really highlight it, as well as just kind of watching how the 49ers defense performed without him.
Yeah.
Can't help you. Norm in the chat said he's depressed and needs help. I got nothing for you, Norm.
Yeah, like this is the one, because we had a conversation earlier, it might have even been in August, about like the most valuable 49ers and like the guys they really can't afford to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And for all those reasons, like I just talked about in terms of like Fred Warner kind of being an extension of the coaching staff on the field and getting guys in position. I know we don't view linebacker as like super valuable. Like we don't, like in comparison to maybe edge rusher or corner, right? Like in terms of a quote unquote premium position. But given what Fred Warner's value was to the defense, just intangibly, like with the way he played, with the way he rallied the guys, with the way he got everybody in position before every snap, like I think Fred Warner, and I wouldn't have thought this even a couple years ago. I would always take like a premium pass rusher over a linebacker. But given what Fred Warner is to them, I think he's the most valuable player on the 49ers defense.
I agree.
And I don't know that it's particularly close. And to have him, and Kyle Shanahan said it's a dislocated ankle, it's probably a broken ankle, and he's probably going to need surgery. So, I mean, without knowing for sure, I think you could say there's a very good chance that Fred Warner's done for the season.
When the television doesn't want to show a replay, that's typically a season ender.
And the aircast is like, aircast goes on as soon as he's on the cart. It didn't take any time. It was like Fred Warner's down, cart's coming out, and he was already aircasted and like off the field by the time they got back from commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Like they knew as soon as it happened. You saw a Tampa Bay player pointing to the sideline, like, get your guy out here. And then you see the replay and you see the shape of Fred Warner's ankle in relation to his leg. And then you're like, all right, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's tough.
But yeah, I think he's clearly established himself as the most valuable player on that 49ers defense, even though he doesn't do the same things that Nick Bosa does. But I just, to have Nick Bosa and Fred Warner out for the season, I'm with you in that, like, that's impossible to overcome. Like I as much as it sucks to say for the 49ers and 49ers fans, it's like there's no hope at a Super Bowl right now. Like you need those guys to even get there, right? Like I thought the NFC was wide open enough even without Bosa. It's like, all right, Fred can like lift these guys up. You get some development from the rookies. You get your offensive guys back. If the offense ends up being like a top 5 unit, and you get Brock Purdy playing at, similar level to 2023, and you keep Christian McCaffrey healthy, et cetera, et cetera. Like the way the NFC was shaping up, I was like, all right, the Niners can be one of those top 3 teams and potentially get to the Super Bowl.
Totally.
It's just too difficult without Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. It's just way too difficult, and it sucks. And honestly, like I texted the group chat today. It's like sometimes the sport just sucks. As much as we love football, and like, man, the injuries are really frustrating. It's like, no, like injuries are part of the sport, and the sport sucks. There was nothing Fred Warner could have done to prevent his ankle from getting injured the way it did today. It wasn't, I don't think it was a situation with the grass. It wasn't anything with the Niners training staff. It's not, it's just, it is football. This stuff happens and it totally sucks. And we can talk about it year round, and we can do multiple podcast episodes a week with the assumption that this player is going to play. And then all of a sudden in 1 second, that guy's off the field and he's done for the season. It completely changes the complexion of the team. and it sucks. And it's just what the sport is, and the physicality is why we love it. But it's also maybe the worst part about it in this case, like just losing a guy to an injury, and like it's not life threatening, like, you know, obviously knock on wood and stuff. Like Fred's fine, but it's not like it just sucks. It's the worst. Aside from anybody getting seriously hurt, like a DeMar Hamlin situation or a neck injury or whatever,
Sure.
like this just sucks.
Dude, we do this to talk about football and to talk about wins and losses and this play and that play. Not to talk about, wow, what does Nick Bosa's injury mean for the 49ers? Wow, what does Brock Purdy's injury mean for the 49ers? Wow, what do the Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall injuries mean for the 49ers? Wow, what does the George Kittle injury mean for... It's like, oh my God, dude. It's tough because we can't get on here and be like, wow, 49ers lost. All right, Fred Warner got hurt. Anyways, moving on. Like, it's such a major thing. And like you said, this isn't a usage thing. They didn't stretch properly. They didn't eat enough potassium, whatever it is. Like, it's just the reality of football has happened to the 49ers a lot of times.
Yeah. And it sucks.
So,
and the fact that they're 4-2 is still pretty wild. But yeah, defensively, it just seemed like losing Fred Warner takes a lot of emotional wind out of your sails, but it was just also coverage bust after coverage bust, and what was happening offensively. We can talk about the offensive stuff too. I don't know.
I want to stick on the defense for a minute. So
yeah, go ahead.
Just to try and spin the Fred Warner injury forward a little bit. I think part of the reason it's such a big deal is because he was the last thing holding their defense together. Because they have not been able to rush the quarterback. They're not particularly effective in coverage. They can't stop the run. Fred Warner was kind of it. And the 49ers had one quarterback hit today. It was Micah Williams, who recorded his first career sack. Salute to Micah Williams. They had two last week. One by Alfred Collins, one by Bryce Huff. They had none in week 4. They have 3 quarterback hits in the last 3 games. And it's just that trickle-down effect where that's why losing a middle linebacker is such a big deal, because they don't rush the passer very well. They don't cover well enough to make up for the fact they can't rush the passer. And with Warner out, I don't think that they're going to do anything particularly well moving forward, and it's really hard to see them putting together any kind of viable NFL defense. There's nothing they do well on that side of the ball when Fred Warner's not on the field.
Yeah, I think they're better maybe in coverage, as long as they're in the right spot. Like, I think they're maybe better in coverage than I think they're better than you do, I guess. But okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of it. They can sort of stop the run, but yeah, they don't bother the quarterback enough. They haven't gotten an interception.
13 games.
Really the longest streak in NFL history.
Bro, it's 13 games.
That used to be like
basically an entire season.
Long.
13 games to not have one ball get tipped in the air to go to your guy?
Yeah, I mean, they've dropped a bunch.
That's it. That's what jumps out, is how many. I think D Winters dropped one. Fred dropped a couple this year. They've had a handful of opportunities to snag interceptions. They just haven't.
Yeah, I mean, I think the defense can tread water. I think it can maybe be league average, maybe if it plays better.
Mm-hmm.
But I think league average might be the ceiling on the defense at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for the 49ers to make the playoffs, like I kind of think that the Seahawks should be favored to win the division right now.
Yeah,
and maybe they will be by the time the odds are out, if they're not already. But I think, I mean, the Niners are just going to have to score 30-plus points a game going forward if they're going to get to the playoffs. Like, I think that the season, to me, is recalibrated to the point where, like, given all of the injuries, like, getting to the playoffs is a successful season.
I totally agree.
Before the injuries, it's like getting to the NFC Championship game is a successful season. Now I have to recalibrate, how I define success for them. And to me, it's just, if they get to the playoffs, given all of the injuries and everything they've had to go through to this point, like, good on them. But I don't see a deep playoff run after that.
Yeah, I would be stunned if there's any kind of real, and maybe it's just one of those things where they get healthy offensively and they become a juggernaut on that side of the ball, and they're giving up 27 a game, but they're scoring 30 a game, and they become effective in that way. But I I keep saying, like, I trust Robert Saleh to figure it out, because figuring out how to replace Fred Warner on the fly is brutal. Like, that's not something you're going to be able to do. So I'm sure they're going to scheme differently. It's one of Robert Saleh's superpowers is adjusting in game, in season, but adjusting for the loss of Fred Warner, because of everything you laid out at the top of this podcast of what he does in getting guys aligned, I think is just kind of impossible. So yeah. I don't think it's going to be as bad as it was today, where, like I said, the Bucs averaged 8.4 yards per play with something named Cameron Johnson leading the way receiving for them. But I don't, yeah, like you said, I just, if they make the playoffs, great. That's, yeah. I guess if you're looking at this, if you want to go glass half full version, like, all right, Nick Martin probably plays now. Michael Williams and Alfred Collins are getting valuable reps. Upton Stout's getting valuable reps. Marcus Siegel, I think, is getting reps. I'm not sure what they're doing at safety now.
So let's put a pin in that. I want to talk about the Nick Martin thing.
Okay.
I think if it's me, I mean, the way it looks right now, Kyle Shanahan said it in the postgame press conference that Tatum Bethune is going to be the starting middle linebacker. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like D. Winters has really gotten any reps at Mike with the green dot calling the plays. In an ideal world, I kind of think like your two linebackers are Dean Winters and Nick Martin, and then you just you roll with that. But I mean, I would assume Nick Martin is going to be active now, and maybe he's contributing on special teams, and maybe you work him in that Luke Gifford role if he even fits that role, which I'm not sure of. But yeah, if there's a silver lining, if you were in on Nick Martin after watching him during the preseason, you say, all right, well, now he should get a bunch of playing time, and then maybe you fast track his development, and maybe you have something with him to which you wouldn't have known about with Fred Warner on the field. I don't know, but I'm very curious to see how well Tatum Bethune plays, because I do think. And, I do think there's some, like, Robert Saleh and this coaching staff has done a really good job developing linebackers. And the first guy I think of when I think of Tatum Bethune and just sort of the way he plays was Azeez Al-Shire. Mm-hmm. Right. And Azeez Al-Shire turned out to be a pretty good, I mean, I know he's like, he does some wild things these days and then does like a bunch of dirty plays and stuff. But
he's public enemy number one against like 8 teams in the league.
Right. That aside, he turned into like a pretty good starting middle linebacker and got paid accordingly. And I kind of think Tatum Bethune has that same potential. Is he a Hall of Fame linebacker in Fred Warner? Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. But could you get replacement level starting linebacker play from Tatum Bethune? I think that's possible. And then, if you're not like, it sucks losing Fred for sure, and I still think the ceiling of the defense is like, league average, but I don't think Tatum Bethune is a disaster. At least not with the infrastructure around him. But I'm also curious to see how Nick Martin factors into this.
Yeah, if at all. It was dude, you say like maybe he can play the Luke Gifford role. It's like what, getting beat in coverage? It seems to be Luke Gifford's role when he's on the field. But yeah, man, I don't. If Nick Martin was that close to being a starting caliber player, I don't think he'd be a healthy scratch every week.
We do that with guys though before, with like special teams guys.
Yeah,
like if they like Curtis Robinson better on special teams, then they'll have him up. If they don't think there's that big of a difference between him and like that, they do that. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I'm sure we'll find out more, but it
sucks. So. Yeah, it does. It really does.
On the safety situation.
Oh, yeah.
So Malik Mustafa came back today. it seemed like the plan was just to give him a series or two, just to, let him get his feet wet. They view him as a starter. Obviously missed all of training camp in the preseason. The fact that Jason Pinnock, not that Pinnock's been amazing, but I didn't view the 49ers safety position as like this, all right, they have to upgrade. They need to make changes. I'm not a big Jair Brown guy. Like I don't think he's one of the 49ers' two best safeties. I think Marquise Siegel is one of the 49ers' two best safeties. And I don't know if this was like a cause and effect thing. It might just be a pure coincidence. But when the 49ers safeties were Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa, that's when the Bucs had their like easiest touchdown drive of the game.
Yep.
And it's also obviously like without Fred Warner. Fred Warner's not on the field. So like that's a huge factor in this also. And I'm not just saying like, oh, the backup safeties were in and they clearly weren't as good. I'd have to go back and watch the all 22, which I mean, we shouldn't even talk about this game without watching the tape, Kyle. But
you know what? That's a great point.
We're doing what we can. Point being,
take all this with a grain of salt until we get to the silent film.
Point being here, I just think Marquise Siegel and Malik Mustafa are probably the 49ers' two best safeties. And I kind of think Jason Pinnock might be better than Jair Brown already. And so I don't fully agree with having Brown all of a sudden get every snap at safety.
Would it surprise you if the 49ers, in response to Fred Warner's absence, started running a bunch of like 3 and 4 safety stuff?
Safety stuff?
Where it's Siegel and Mustafa with Jair Brown. So yeah, maybe 3-4 is excessive, but just trying to get as many kind of athletes who can play in the box and play in coverage as possible. I don't know. Because I think if you're Robert Saleh, you got to throw everything at the wall right now.
Maybe. I like Jair Brown in sort of the big linebacker or the big dime role more than a deep safety.
Sure. Same.
So if it's Pinnock or Mustafa and Siegel, I think Siegel's one of the 49ers' best 11 players on defense. I just think he needs to be out there every snap. I think he's fast. I think he's a good tackler. I don't think he's bad in coverage. It sounded like the way Kyle Shanahan described it, that he blew the coverage on the 45-yard touchdown. But like that's going to happen. But I think he should be playing, and I think if you like Mustafa, then you play him, and then you have Jair Brown in that role that he had early in the season, where he was a dime linebacker who's coming in on 3rd and long, or passing situations like a big nickel, whatever. That to me makes a lot more sense. I just don't think Jair Brown is one of the 49ers' two best safeties, or even one of their 11 best defenders right now.
Yeah. If he was, he would have been out there to start the year.
Yeah.
Just frankly, he couldn't beat out Jason Pinnock, but it is tough to beat out Jason Pinnock. So
yeah. Let's talk about the offense.
Sure.
That obviously had a role. Just a really bad day for the offensive line, I thought.
Just brutal, dude.
6 sacks allowed. The penalties on back-to-back drives when it's an 8-point game, a 1-score game, where you have the hold for Jake Brendel that basically takes you out of a short yardage situation and makes you have to pass.
Yep.
That leads to a drive ending, and then Dominic Pooney, it's 4th and 1.
Dude,
to have a false start on a 4th and 1 was absolutely brutal. And Mac Jones, Mac Jones 27 of 39 for 347 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. It's just really, really hard to win when you're playing behind the sticks. And you cannot have those types of penalties along your offensive line in addition to allowing 6 sacks. Like, you're allowing this number of sacks in part because you're playing behind the sticks, and it's a hell of a lot easier when you're a really good blitzing defense like Todd Bowles has in the Bucs when you're playing behind the sticks, because the opponent's offensive line is committing a bunch of penalties. Like the 49ers, if they're missing all of their weapons, they cannot afford to play behind the sticks.
Correct.
They need to be at 3rd and 3, not 3rd and 13.
Yep.
Right. in a one score game in a against a good team on the road. Like, you just can't do that. So this was one of those games where the offensive line issues, I think, really, really stuck out.
Yeah, and I think they stuck out in part because Mac Jones clearly can't move. Watching not that, and I don't want this to become like, oh, Mac Jones not an athlete jokes. Like, I know that was the whole thing, but even more so than Mac Jones not being a super elusive quarterback, it's worse right now. Like, you can tell that knee is super hampering him. Anytime the pocket collapsed a little bit, he was toast. And that just can't happen. I fully agree. The offensive line was not productive today. To me, it's really clear Dominic Pooney is playing through something. He does not look right. Trent Williams looks like a 39-year-old or 38-year-old or whatever he is. Jake Brendel does not look like the best center in the sport, despite what Kyle Shanahan had to say in the off season. Connor Colby's a rookie 7th-round pick. Like, it's not Pooney's a great.
Been hurt since August.
Yeah. It's not a great unit right now. But on top of that, I don't think Mac Jones in his current state is helping that situation much.
Yeah. Before we continue, I just want to give a shout out to our friends at Lamb Chops. sglambchops.com is the website.
I'm not sure they want to sponsor this episode.
Fred Warner's injury brought to you by
turn your day around, 49er fans, and get yourself some sick ass Lamb Chops gear. We got Candlestick Chronicles merch on the way. Look at that black. Look at the Black Nick sweatshirt.
The fall line is out.
The knit sweater is just gas.
If you're down, like, all black is like a great look. If those are the vibes, which maybe if you're feeling really down about the 49ers season, maybe you want to wear all black.
Mm-hmm.
This sweater, this t-shirt from Lamb Chops in the fall line is a great way to go.
Yep. Agreed.
Promo code Candlestick20 to save 20% off your order. Keep it locked for that Candlestick Chronicles merch, as Kyle mentioned. Follow them on their social channels at SG Lamb Chops, and Lamb Chops join the herd. Looking forward to seeing those guys next month in Minneapolis. We are also sponsored by Prize Picks. Kyle, you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Hey, you know who wasn't right with their Prize Picks lineup this week? It was your boy.
Oh,
and I just love the multiplier. I like the 5-pick flex play this week, $20 to try to bring home 1,980. Turns out I did not get all 5. I did not get all 5 picks. But I don't have any regrets. We're not going to have any regrets here. I had Mac Jones fewer than 249.5 passing yards. He had 347. I had Baker Mayfield fewer than 238.5 passing yards. He had 256. Whiffed on both of those. Hey, Christian McCaffrey, cash. He had more than 48.5 receiving yards because, of course. And then the swings, the spicy plays, the demon plays, Kyle Juszczyk and Brian Robinson, I had for more than half of a rushing or receiving touchdown each. Those missed, so I lost this week. So make sure, if you want to do the opposite of me and win on Prize Picks, download the app today and use code Candlestick to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Candlestick, like the name of this podcast, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
My 5-player entry got turned into a 4-player entry because Emeka Egbuka got hurt, so that got rebooted. The only one I did not get right was Thomas Morstead, more than 3.5 punts. He only finished with 2. But Christian McCaffrey, less than 3.5 yards on his first rushing attempt, nailed it. He had 3. Dicey there for a second, but he finished with 3. Cade Otton, more than 7 on his fantasy score. He finished with 10.1 fantasy points, according to. I loved it, and it hit early. And then Eddie Pinheiro, more than 1.5 field goals made. He made 4. He's 15 for 15 with the 49ers now. 16 for 16.
Something like that. It's just nails. And they're all right down the middle.
Right down the middle. Not even, there wasn't even a hint of one of his missing today.
Well, so I think the 54-yarder, he hit it, and I thought it was going straight left, and I was like, oh no. And then he gave it a buttery cut, like a buttery cut, and it came back
Just
to the right. And
just a power fade.
Just not even a fade, just a little that butter cut, man. He played it. I don't know if he was playing it into the wind, if there was a breeze off the right, like that was kind of artful. Like we haven't seen like an artful kick from a 49ers field goal kicker in a while. Like it looked like he did that intentionally with like the little butter cut. I loved it. It was Eddie Pinheiro, man. Maybe the 49ers MVP so far, given the injuries, of course.
Where would they be without him?
Not 4-2.
Certainly not.
So,
and today would not have been close.
No.
So shout out to the flex play. I still won some money thanks to Prize Picks. 3 out of 4.
The Niners. So
and it is good to be right. I want to let everybody know. Feels great.
It's good to be right. The Niners came in. So let's zoom out a little bit and talk about where the Niners are in the NFC West. They're still technically in first place. I believe. Is this updated?
Yes, that's correct.
So there are 3 4-2 teams in the NFC West. Niners are 4-2, Seahawks are 4-2, Rams are 4-2. Niners, of course, have the tiebreaker over all of the NFC West teams right now because they've beaten them all so far. They're 4-1 in conference. I think I like the Seahawks the most right now in the NFC West.
They're playing well.
Sam Darnold's dealing. The defense is really good. Their point differential is 49. The Niners they're 4-2 and they have a negative 3-point differential. The Niners have a negative 4 touchdown, like net touchdown ratio.
Yeah.
Their opponents have scored 4 more touchdowns than them, and they're 4-2, which is crazy. Like the sustainability, we talked about it during the week, but the sustainability did not scream like, oh, this is going in the right direction. Even after the Rams game, but obviously now without Fred Warner, that point I think only strengthens. But I don't know, like there are 3 wild card spots now. There's a very real scenario where the 49ers can be in one of these. I mean, I'm not ruling out the division yet. I don't love them to win the division now, but there's probably only one playoff team in the NFC South, Tampa. Carolina's 3-3 and they're in second place.
I have no idea what to make of the Falcons, who are the 49ers' next opponent.
Yeah, and we can talk about that later in the week.
Yeah.
But probably 2 playoff teams in the North, although Minnesota, I mean, we'll see. They're 3-2.
I think Minnesota might stink.
Yeah, they might, but their defense is really good.
Yeah, right.
And they have playmakers. It's kind of all on JJ McCarthy. The East, you have the Eagles at 4-2. You have Washington at 3-2. Dallas is 2-3-1. The Giants are 2-4. Like the even if the 49ers if you don't love them to win the division, I still think if they get their guys back offensively, they can be in the mix for a wild card spot. Like that's kind of how I view them right now. Is like a team that like should very much be in the mix for a wild card spot.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think they have the coaching staff, and I think they have enough personnel to do it. But it's going to rely on the improvement from those rookies that we've talked about all year.
Yeah. So, George Kittle back next week. Maybe Brock Purdy next week. I think to your point, maybe we should talk a little bit more about Mac Jones too. With Mac Jones being unable to move, obviously much more of a sitting duck back there behind an offensive line in obvious passing situations. Brock Purdy can move significantly better than Mac Jones.
It's very true.
And I don't know that, he would have escaped all of those sacks, but I don't think the 49ers would have taken 6 sacks today. I
agree.
If Brock Purdy was their starting quarterback. And I think that is kind of the knock on Mac Jones in terms of like, he can operate the offense. He can make the throws you need him to make. He doesn't have the strongest arm. He just is not mobile. And he's not mobile when he's fully healthy. He's certainly not mobile when he's as banged up as he is. And so I thought that was super limiting today. I think the first interception that Mac threw is particularly frustrating. Kyle Shanahan basically said it was Kendrick Bourne's fault. The 49ers, like there was a blitz coming in off the right side. Kyle Shanahan said the 49ers should have gone hot, which basically means a receiver on that side changes their route to be open sooner, to allow for or to compensate for that blitz coming from that side. Yep. Bourne was supposed to run a short out to the flat. That's where Mac threw it. Bourne wasn't there. It goes right to the defender, and then it ends up being a touchdown the other way for Tampa a few plays later. Kendrick Bourne had, Juwan Jennings had a penalty. He had 2 penalties, I think.
Yeah.
And Jennings just kind of seemed out of sort. Like it was just a combinate, like the offensive line mistakes, the receivers making those mistakes. Mac wasn't awesome. He wasn't terrible, but it was just a culmination of mistakes.
Can I talk about Juwan Jennings for a second?
Yeah.
And Kendrick Bourne together in the same thing here. Did you hear what Juwan Jennings said after the game?
I did not.
He is playing, according to Juwan Jennings, his shoulder is about 20% right now. He has high and low ankle sprains. And he has 5 broken ribs.
Oh.
And there appears to be a motorcycle race happening on the walking path behind my house right now.
I was wondering if that is my street outside my house.
Nah, it is Vin Diesel and his family out there just letting it rip right now.
Sounds like some two-strokes.
But that's insane that he's playing through that, and I respect it. But given the way that Kendrick Bourne is playing right now, another 142-yard game, this time on 5 catches instead of 10, I'm not sure that he's not their second best receiver right now once Ricky Pearsall comes back. And maybe that's just a function of Mac Jones trusting him because they've played an entire season together, multiple seasons together in New England. But if I'm the 49ers right now, I don't really feel like I need to play Juwan Jennings over Kendrick Bourne. Mistake on the hot read aside.
Yeah. I just wonder if that's the same when Brock Purdy's back.
Yeah,
because
which is fair.
It didn't seem like Brock Purdy and Kendrick Bourne were on the same page in that Jacksonville game.
Well, yeah, Kendrick Bourne forgot that catching the ball is paramount.
Right. Yeah, I have no idea what to make of the 49ers situation at that receiver right now. If Jennings is that screwed up physically, then he just shouldn't play.
I'm with you.
It's not. I think DeMarcus Robinson is okay enough that you can survive without Jennings until he gets healthy. Particularly if you get Ricky Pearsall back. Like I don't know how helpful Juwan Jennings is if he's playing through all of that stuff.
Right.
And like he's gone through I think they said it on the broadcast, he's gone through 2 full practices dating back to training camp.
Jesus.
Like 2 full practices out of what, like 40?
Yeah, like sure,
whatever
man.
the number is, like that's insane. So I don't know. I think the hope's got to be that Ricky Pearsall comes back this week. You get George Kittle back this week, and regardless of whether Mac Jones is playing or Brock Purdy's playing, you have some sense of normalcy with your offense. Maybe you run the ball a little bit better with George Kittle back. Maybe your offensive line doesn't have as many mistakes as it had today. So that's obviously going to be really important. We're all over the place. This is the Fred Warner injury is just so jarring that normally there's like a list of bullet points in my head, and now it's just it's such a big injury that I'm just like all over the place right now. What you have something you want to say? I have something I want to ask you, but I want you to speak first.
Okay, great. I have a list of takeaways that I'm writing at NinersWire.com that I have written down. If you would just like to go through those, we can definitely do that. But you mentioned George Kittle coming back. I would like to use that as an opportunity to circle one of the 49ers' top receivers today, and that was tight end Jake Tunges, who was targeted 7 times. He caught 6 balls for 58 yards. Jake Tunges continues to be an asset in the passing game, which the 49ers have been missing. And I'm just saying, once George Kittle comes back, given what we've seen from Jake Tunges as a receiver. I'm thinking more 12 and 22 personnel, Chris. If you're new to the pod, we've been doing this show since December of. I'm looking at the clock like it's going to tell me. December of 2018 is when we started this program, which is kind of nuts. But I think since that offseason, I have been calling for the 49ers to run more 12 and 22 personnel, and we've yet to get it. But this is going to be the one. This is going to be the time. I'm manifesting it.
I really don't want to take the wind out of your sails. I just don't know that it's going to happen until Kyle Juszczyk retires or is playing somewhere else. I'm sorry.
Fine.
You're my friend. I appreciate you. I really want to support you and all your ambitions and your ideas.
Thank you.
I just don't know if we're going to see as much two tight end stuff as you're hoping for.
Well, the 49ers not had a tight end capable of catching 6 balls for 58 yards alongside George Kittle since Jordan Reed, who played, I think, 6 games before he got hurt.
Yeah.
Did the vibe of this game does this not feel the exact same way as week 2 of the 2020 season felt when Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas both got hurt? And I think Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt in that game too. Like it's just same.
Yeah, that was like an all-time, because that was week 2,
right?
And it was like, oh, it's the second game of the season and it's over. The pandemic was also happening, so that made it a little unique. But
and D Ford was hurt to start that year. Richard Sherman was hurt to start that year, and the vibe after that week 2 game was like, oh, the season's just over. Like they might make the playoffs, but that's how this feels today. And it's not the same in terms of just the sheer number of players who got hurt in the game, but the Fred Warner injury, and you mentioned, feeling kind of like we're all over the place today. It's because to me, the Fred Warner injury feels like, okay, that was the final straw. Like they could still make the playoffs for sure. They still have, they somehow still have a ton of talent. They're still 4-2. Like they don't have a super tough schedule. It's the pathway is there for them to make the postseason, even if it looks a little bit different than we thought it might. But it also felt like, man, they're 4-1. They can get healthy. They get some young guys playing better. God, maybe in a wide open NFC, they might be able to make a little run here. Mm-hmm. And that's just off the table now for me.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, like if they got to 9-10 wins and got into the playoffs as a wild card team, to me that's a win.
Mm-hmm.
That's a successful season. So
I agree.
What I wanted to ask you was, how do you think the Fred Warner injury changes the 49ers thinking at the trade deadline?
Oh, it's off. Like there's, I don't, unless you're trading for Roquan Smith, which you're not, I just don't think that the 49ers are going to do that.
In terms of like make a big trade for Trey Hendrickson or something.
Yeah, no. I think they would do that. Kyle Shanahan said the other day in his press conference that they made the trade for Emmanuel Sanders in 2019 because they felt like they were a player away. And he said very explicitly that he doesn't feel that way right now. And I can't fathom that he feels that way after losing Fred Warner. So maybe they make a trade just to say they did it, but I think it'll be like a late round pick swap in 2027 type of Charles Omenihu. We've mentioned these guys before, like Jordan Willis, Arden Key, our guy Kawachipto in the chat. But I don't think there's a major trade coming. They may try and improve on the margins for a playoff push, but the big trade stuff for me is off the table.
Yeah, if they could get defensive line help, I think that would certainly make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm not like dealing a batch of premium picks for Trey Hendrickson or even a first.
Yeah, and Trey Hendrickson's not dealing with a back injury, as our buddy Flynn West in the chat points out.
Yeah,
left the Bengals game today.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's like It's a 6th-round pick for Arden Key and a 7th.
Right. Yeah. That's it.
You know, like that's kind of what I think is coming.
The other frustrating thing with this game today was we talked about going in how a big reason the 49ers beat the Rams is because they won on the margins. The Rams made special teams mistakes. They turned the ball over. The 49ers didn't. And they were able to pull away in that way. Off the bat, first drive of the game, well, they force a punt, and then Mac Jones' first throw is picked. And 2 plays later, Tampa goes ahead, and it's like, all right, not only did you make a mistake, but you're immediately playing from behind. And then they somehow found a way to stick around, but then a second kind of back-breaking mistake. And then on that drive after the interception, Rachaad White fumbles it right to himself. Like he was able to fall right on top of it instead of the 49ers being able to fall on top of it. Like those little things that just kind of went their way in the Rams game didn't go their way. And I don't think, you can argue you can prevent interceptions or whatever, but it highlighted what we talked about going into the game in terms of just sustainability of winning. And there are just certain things like you can't rely on a bounce of the ball to win consistently. And I think the Fred Warner injury obviously was huge today, but I also think you just kind of saw the other side of this coin. So many things went right for San Francisco against the Rams that went wrong for them on Sunday against the Buccaneers. And that's the difference between escaping with a win and losing by, was that 11?
Yeah. Yeah, the turnover stuff, you lose a turnover battle 2-0. It's really hard. They won the turnover battle 2-0 against the Rams, including getting a freak fumble at the goal line. Could have been at least a 7-point game swing in a game that goes to overtime.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, man. The NFL is all about on the margins, and to me, there are like 5 plays that really stick out to me. It was, even aside from Fred Warner's injury, it's the blown coverage at the end of the first half that leads to the touchdown.
That's brutal.
It's the 2 offensive line penalties that lead to, obvious passing situations on 3rd and 4th down in those drives with it a 1-score game in the second half. It's not wrapping up Baker Mayfield on 3rd and 14.
Golly.
Which great call by you. You said before the game that Baker does crazy stuff with his legs, and if you can prevent him from doing that, that might have been the play of the game. It probably was the play of the game for the Bucs, because I think it was either the next snap or a couple snaps later was the 45-yard touchdown.
It was two plays later. They stuffed Sean Tucker for a loss on 1st and 10, but then 2nd and 11 they hit the 45-yarder.
Yeah, and it was like, 4 or 5 guys had a chance to tackle Baker.
Just
like
brutal.
Fred probably. Fred at least changes. You'd like to think Fred changes the impact or changes the outcome of that play. But yeah, probably. It's just like a handful of mistakes that you can't make. It's Kendrick Bourne on the passing play that leads to the interception to open the game. Like those are just mistakes that you can't afford to make if you're going to beat a good team on the road. As injured as you are, as injured as the 49ers are. So tough, man. Tough.
Yep.
I don't know what to...
We covered all my takeaways, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
No. We covered it. No, we covered them. I was going through to see if there was... Yeah, no. I had the Warner injury, the lack of interceptions, Mac Jones, good and bad, Eddie Pinheiro, their run game... we didn't talk about the run game being bad again. But I don't know. I don't have anything to add on this. They can't run the ball right
Christian
now.
McCaffrey goes 54 yards on 17 attempts, 3.2 per attempt. Hey, Kyle, guess what, though?
What's that?
49ers got their first rushing touchdown of the season.
That's big time. Let's clap it out. Great job for them. That's really well done. Only took them 6 games. Now, do they get an interception? Only time will tell.
Man. Yeah. Tony Romo said some funny things today.
Tony Romo is not good.
I think he's good. I think he's just completely different than when he first burst on the scene and was really, really good.
Yeah.
Now he's just kind of devolved into like every other color commentary guy. At one point, like football guys do this, and it's like, man, this is really a Todd Bowles versus Kyle Shanahan matchup right now. It's like, oh, is it?
I
Is that what it is?
I tweeted this. I tweeted about that specific line because he's like, man, Todd Bowles likes to do this, and Kyle Shanahan likes to do this, and really, this is a Todd Bowles versus Kyle Shanahan type of matchup.
Yes. Yeah. Tony, thank you so much for pointing out who the head coaches are of these teams.
It is that type of matchup.
That's why CBS gives you $20 million a year, is to tell us that, yes, this is in fact a matchup between Todd Bowles and Kyle Shanahan. Just thank you for your service. We really appreciate you being here and offering that type of insight.
What was the other? Oh, it was the 49ers brought on an extra safety at one point, and Tony Romo circles the trio of there was 2 linebackers and a safety down near the line of scrimmage, and he said, quote, they've got safeties here because Fred Warner is out and they think they're going to pass or run the ball.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tone.
I mean, they could have. I forget the exact.
Robert Saleh has the Tampa Bay offense so nailed down that he's 50-50. It's a coin flip, pass or run.
I forget the exact scenario of the game, but I mean, they could have taken a knee, could have spiked it.
That's that's a good point.
Who knows?
I didn't consider the classic spike it when no one's expecting a spike play.
Never see it coming.
Goodness
gracious. Jim Nance was great. I loved when the Niners scored their touchdown and he did a little nod to Greg Papa.
That was great.
I thought that was really cool. He said, as Niners radio voice Greg Papa would say, touchdown San Francisco. I thought that was fun.
With a little inflection.
Nice little nod a nice little nod to Greg. Hopefully he's on his way back, and his health is
rocking a beard right now, and it's
like the beardiest of beards.
Yeah, love it for our guy Pop. Yeah. That's awesome.
So shout out to him. Hope he's doing well. Hope we see him back soon. All of those things. I don't really have anything else, man. This game is just one of those. I mean, obviously it will be remembered as the Fred Warner injury game,
and that's it. The reason this game is hard to talk about is because, like, all right, running the ball, we'll see what it looks like once Ricky Pearsall and George Kittle are back and Brock Purdy's back. We'll see what the offensive line looks like when they have a more mobile quarterback back there. They lost. They're 4-2. They're still top of the division. All that, but the Fred Warner injury just kind of casts a pall over all that. Where the L on the even if they had won, like let's say Mac Jones ties the game instead of throwing an interception on that last drive, and then Baker Mayfield fumbles and the Niners recover and they kick a game-winning field goal. It's still the outlook to me is exactly the same, exactly the same.
What year did the NFL institute the 17-game schedule?
2021.
Okay, so Fred Warner hasn't missed a game since 2021.
Correct.
So
I think I think the game he missed was because of a concussion. I think.
Yeah. So he every game as a rookie, second year, third year, missed one game in his fourth season, has not missed a game since 17, 17, 17, all 5 this year. 4-time All-Pro. Probably a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I don't know if he was going to win it this year, but if the Niners did go to the playoffs and they started forcing more turnovers, and maybe Fred got like a pick 6 or whatever, some high profile moments, plays, things like that, maybe Fred's Defensive Player of the Year. He's 29. Man, for Fred to be entering his 30s, coming off this type of ankle injury, and we'll know more on Monday. In terms of the severity of it, I would imagine he's out for the season, but Kyle Shanahan said the ankle's broken. I guess the key will be ligaments. I'm not a doctor, but I know, obviously ankle ligaments are important, even beyond fractured bones. But yeah, man, Fred Warner entering his 30s, coming off this type of ankle injury after playing 120 games in the last 8 years is
ridiculous.
Really tough. It'll be really weird seeing the Niners play without him, honestly.
Yeah, man. When the picture of health on your team gets hurt, it's tough to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, if you are interested in...
in more sunshine and rainbows like this.
Candlestick Chronicles Hazy IPA is going to be there for you in the best of moments to celebrate, and in the not so great moments, like when your favorite football team loses a potential Hall of Fame linebacker for the season.
This changes everything.
Oh, I was looking.
Maybe check your facts next time.
Pro Football Reference. Yeah. Okay. So he's 29 November 19th. So he will turn 30 in the middle of next season. Yeah. Pro Football References did me dirty on that one.
Take back everything we said about the injury. It's going to be fine now. Now that he's not.
So when you go to their profile on Pro Football Reference, they have their age, and on 2025 it says he's 29 because he turns 29 during the season. So that's on me. Should have went up. Got looked at his birthday. It's my fault. He's 28. Either way, he will be entering his 30s coming off this injury.
I'm not mad. I just expect better from you.
Okay. But Candlestick Chronicles Hazy IPA is still delicious. And still available at Cooperage Brewing at both of their locations in Santa Rosa and online at their website, cooperagebrewing.com, where you can get a case delivered directly to your door if you're 21 and up and in the state of California. And all of their beer is amazing, so you don't have to get a full case of Candy Cron, although we would never tell you that's a bad idea. But you can mix and match, get all sorts of different stuff. So please do that. Go to Cooperage Brewing or go to their their locations in Santa Rosa on Ross Street. It looks incredible. Like, just go. It's an amazing. The vibes are way up. Even if Fred Warner's out for a long time, the vibes are going to be way up at Cooperage.
Yeah. I would recommend doing a case of Candlestick Chronicles, because that's going to be very popular at your tailgate, at your watch party, whatever. And then get that mix and match case as well. Just get 2 cases.
Yeah.
One Candy
Keg Slayer, unbelievable.
Love Keg Slayer.
Anything Kurt related is
Steph
obviously
Curdy,
going to be outstanding.
McCurdy Cove.
Kurt's not going to put his name on it if it doesn't get his stamp of approval, and he's got a very, very high bar. Shout out to Charlie, but yeah, man, the Fred Warner game. Force him out for your guy Fred.
The Fred Warner game, derogatory.
Yeah, friend of the show, Fred Warner. The guy had just an unbelievable appearance. 2 off seasons ago? That's on our YouTube channel if you want to look that up. But yeah, all right. We'll talk to you guys later in the week. We'll do some stuff before the Niners play the Falcons. I'm sure there'll be more Fred Warner talk once the details of his injury comes out.
We're also doing more content just on our YouTube channel that doesn't go on the pod.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure to subscribe. We cleared 1,000 subscribers, which is really cool. So now we've got our site set on 2,000, and would love it if you were one of them. At Candlestick Chronicles Podcast, youtube.com/@Candlestick Chronicles Podcast, or just search Candlestick Chronicles. We're right there. Please subscribe. Hit the little notification bell. Tells you when we go live, when we got new content up. Hell yeah.
We'll see you guys
Shout
later
out to
in the
Al
week.
Roker.